Welcome to the NetFlix Rookie Cup Series here on FMB TV3. We're at Rockingham. Before we start the race, we've got some announcements. Driver changes. Last week, a lot of drivers proved themselves being in the second race of the season, and they've been promoted to the Cup Series. Well, with that being said, other drivers will jump in and take over the point standings for them. So let's get to it. Jeffrey McClintock will take over the 06. The 9 will be taken over by Eddie Roberts. Brennan McGee will take over the 82. And last but not least, Alex Gordon will take over the 12. Qualifying is about to be completed, and it looks like the 99 is going to take it with the 22.997. And a very, very close Baskinger in the 26 comes up just an inch short to take second. Third is the 9. 10th or 4th will be the 10 car of Scott, and the 91 will take the 5th spot. Streeter in that car. Today, like last week, Alex Bates will be in the booth helping me to commentate this event. So without further ado, let's get to the race. So what can we expect today, Alex?
Well, it's pretty similar to Richmond. Yeah, we were at Richmond last week.
Right.
And it's just the same thing. Tires. This time, I'm not kidding whenever I say tires will be a factor.
Yeah, last week we had a little bit of a problem there, but this week it will be.
And they get about 30 laps on fuel, and this is a 90-lap event, so I don't think we're going to have that same leader the entire race.
Yeah, a very dominating race by Neiman, who has moved on to the Cup Series now. Maybe these rookie drivers are liking that a little bit, not going to worry about him anymore. He did put on a dominating performance.
That he did.
So, as we wait for the command to fire the engines, going over the last checks for these drivers, an interesting stage for some of these drivers as we get the cue to fire the engines. The stage is set for these drivers. They've seen some of their buddies, maybe their teammates, move on to a bigger series. Now they're here to prove what they can do as the cars roll off the grid. 90 laps here at Rockingham. Baskinger Reed's gonna lead them to the flag in the NetFlix Rookie Cup Series at Rockingham is green. Good start by Reed's.
Special thing about Rockingham is that the two sets of corners are a lot different. You're going to have to actually brake in the 1, as in the 3. You can almost go full throttle.
And I think we'll see a lot more crashes this week. We didn't see too many last week. This is a very fast track, and it's going to be a really close racing. Look at these guys. They have just gotten really sideways. Man, the 26, excuse me, drove it into the corner really hard, and there was tire smoke from that car.
Look at that 57. Just like last week, Jeremy Stanley really aggressive of passing a lot of cars on those restarts.
And a lot of big things going on in this pack, as it's going to take a couple laps to sort this out. But
with
what
the 9 car of Eddie Roberts falling back after having a really good qualifying run for his first week. It looks like he might have hit the wall.
There's a couple cars looking to get around this mess that is this gaggle of cars, and Reed's doing a very good job as of right now holding this lead. But Baskinger, it was an afterthought for him as he fell back to 5th now. He has fallen back there, and that is really because of the start that these guys had. They went into turn 1, and when they came off turn 2, I thought there was no way they were making it to turn 3. And then they went into turn 3, and it was just all up in the air, and as like last week, the high line was not working. Oh, we've got a crash. And that is a huge crash. And let's see who's involved. It looks like the 06 of McClintock, the new driver to the series. He's going to be the first to get spun around, and I think some more drivers may be involved. I think Mudd may have been involved. Caution is out here on lap 5, and it was only going to take a couple laps as Reeds leads them back to the line, going through the smoke of the crash that just occurred on the front stretch. So let's take a look at what occurred here. Is that could have been big. I thought for a second it was. Starting turn 4 here.
Looks like the 12 car, Alex Gordon, got his nose in there, and there wasn't enough room. Came up out of the corner as if he was clear, just caught it with the nose of that Dodge.
Yeah, and both these drivers, almost all 3 of these drivers involved were the new drivers that came to the series, Alex Gordon and the 06 of McClintock, but Fan there, the 44, just going to be a innocent bystander. And look at the hit that McCaleb took in the 28. That is the wrong place at the wrong time, and I believe he's going to take the most damage from this crash.
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll be lucky to get out here after that one.
Pit stops underway here. Reed's first stall, excuse me. He pulls in, probably going to take 4 tires here, as McCaleb pulls in right behind him. And here comes the rest of the pack. He will take 4 tires. Looks like a slow stop, though. And Streeter's going to get out. Tyler Wesley is going to get by him. And this is a terrible stop for Reeds. Multiple cars getting by.
They had a major problem there on the 99 car.
And just like that, Reeds is going to go from first, and what it appears probably to be about 5th or 6th. These guys catch up to the pace car. So Streeter, as it stands now, we'll have to wait for official time and scoring to reset itself. But he appears to have taken the lead, and Tyler Wesley is going to get the benefit of that problem on Streeter, and just an all-around good pit stop to get second as well. So after the damage is done, Reeds is going to get 7th. And it's funny because we were talking about how McCaleb may have gotten the worst out of that, but I think he just has taken the roof off and only took 2 tires on that stop, because he's 5th now. The roof, excuse me, the hood.
It looks like we're probably going to have another situation like we did last week. He's going to be a slow car falling back.
Yeah, it's going to be, and if you didn't join us for last week, just a slew of slow cars last week holding a lot of people up, and we were looking to the Netflix Rookie Cup Series to do something about it. And in their eyes, there was nothing wrong with the situation. It could be taken differently depending on who you are. Lappers are a big problem when it comes to these tracks that are very close racing, and the lines only differ 1 or 1.5 of that that are even passable. So especially like a track like this where we've seen 2 and 3 wide, it's going to be interesting how these guys get around if the 28 is going to be slow himself. Pace car lights out now. So to recap what has just occurred, the 06 McClintock, the 28, and Alex Gordon being involved in a crash. It appears the 06 of McClintock is going to have the worst, even though he was actually damaged the least. And Fan behind him, he got a little bit of that too, with some damage to the rear end of that car. Alex Gordon, though, not penalized, still running up front in the 10th position. A very good run for that car. Let's see if they can keep it clean. So how will the restart differ from the start of the race? Well, we are single file, so that's going to help. But how long will they stay single file, and how long will we stay green? Streeter going to lead them to the line.
I think the better question is how many cars is Jeremy Stanley going to pass in the first 3 laps?
Strong car he has. That's 2 weeks in a row as we are green here at the Netflix Rookie Cup Series. And look at that, Streeter not with a good start, and here comes the 18 of Tyler Wesley. Off the corner. Look at this. I think the 4 is going to have something to say to Tyler, but he's going to hold off for it now. Looks like Tyler's going to get this lap. Baskinger has the 57 of Stanley all over the back bumper of his car. Stanley is wanting to get around him pretty fast. And just as you were saying, Alex, look at this. These guys are being held up by the 28 of McCaleb, and it's not being good for the 12 of Alex Gordon, who actually caused the wreck.
Well, if the series wasn't going to penalize him, it looks like Brent McCaleb is.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of revenge.
Maybe, but it might be a little bit. It might become a little bit.
The 12 is trying to move.
And that's 4 wide, and here we go.
He turned him.
He did. The 28 is around.
It looks like nobody else can get damage out of that. That will bring out the caution.
And Gordon was not going to put up with it anymore. But I don't think they're going to like that too much. And my goodness, what a race we have so far. But the only good thing I see now of that is that Gordon, if he had to do what he had to do, and oh, the 27, not too happy. Oh, and they've just wrecked on the backstretch, and these guys are wrecking hard, and it's the 06, and what has happened? And it's the 06 of McClintock and Walton in the 67, and this all started with McGee, who is a new driver, and these guys are just not getting it, I guess, today.
Well, sorry to point this out, but this is the rookie series, and I think we're going to see a little bit of these mistakes this season. A bit of a learning curve for some of these guys.
Oh, excuse me, it had nothing to do with McGee. He just had nowhere to go there for a second. It all starts with Goss, just not happy with the 67 for whatever reason. Pit stops underway again. Looks like these guys are getting their money's worth this week after going all race without a pit stop.
Oh, we got some contact getting in those stalls. Looks
oh
like.
Yeah, and it's the 12 of Gordon. I think he got stuck in his or trapped there.
It looks like the 82 slid across the nose of Connor Babel getting in his stall.
And that's damaged Gordon's car, and then the 22 was just stuck. Rookie mistakes out of these guys.
22 was trying to pull out while the 82 was trying to pull in. Common mistake.
Well, while
spotters might be needing some to learn also.
Yeah, new crew, all new everything with these new drivers, and while that was occurring, Pandiscio in the 23 and the 14 making some time up on pit road. So it seems this is going to be the pattern we're going to see here, as your leader before. What's looking for him here is Wesley, gonna lose what it appears to be 4 spots to get back to 4th now. Jeremy Stanley behind him. We know one thing about the 57 of Stanley: he is aggressive and he's going to do everything in his power to win. And after last week, he's got to be furious getting stuck behind that lapper.
Look at the side of that 18 of Tyler Wesley. It looks like he's got some damage, probably from the wall. Might have been what held him up in his pit stop.
So we are under caution here on lap 15 of 90. It's been a pretty clean race, other than when you get to the little mistakes. They've been running pretty good. It's just cars are actually being claimed more under caution than they are under green. But 2 cautions in 16, or is this the 3rd one?
I believe that was the 2nd.
Okay, so the 2nd caution. And a lot of leaders coming from a race which had no lead changes and no pit stops. We've already made 2 pit stops, and we've had a handful of lead changes. What do you expect to see here on this next restart, Bates?
Probably nothing different. It's probably going to be aggressive cars going for gaps that aren't there. Probably going to see another wreck shortly. Cautions breed cautions.
And before anybody jumps on these drivers for being rookies, or before they take the sides of some of these drivers, they are rookies, as Bates has pointed out, but the rookies to this new series have been the cause of all the cautions. So let's see if that stays. And you got to remember, Alex Gordon not penalized for spinning Brent McCaleb. Now twice will he come back for revenge. Green flag for Pandiscio about to be given. And unlike
I think that Brent McCaleb might have retired after that last go-around. I think that might have been all he had left.
Caleb being wrecked twice, it probably was. We'll have to see if that makes a difference. And look at the 14 get all but wrecked by the 17 of Stafford. He was slideways off the corner. And look at the 14. He's already at the back bumper of the Pandiscio, the 23, and he's going to run him to the grass. Look at the 23. Oh, and the 14 all over the back bumper, and he was almost around the 23.
Seen a lot of that in this race. You got the car catching the car in front of it and just trying to get its nose in there. Not really having the ground to do it, just trying to scare the driver out of the way. It looks like the 14 successfully did it.
Yeah, big time. Oh, we got smoke on the front stretch, and caution is out again. And that is 1 lap, and it's going to be Zach Brown. That's in the 8. Quick caution already. Let's go back and take a look at this. So that's 3 cautions, and now it's just becoming a wreck fest. And just as you were pointing out, oh, it's not even the 8 getting turned. It's the 44 being turned into the 8. And it's the same guys. We're seeing the same thing happen over again. And I believe this time, well, no, McGee was around, so not his fault at all. So we are under caution for the 3rd time now. Pit stop's underway again. So successfully 2 clean races for these guys, and then we come to a fast short track, and it's just all hell's breaking loose.
It is. It's this might be the hardest track on the schedule, though. Might be the hardest track you can put on any schedule.
Yeah, these guys are gonna have a tough time taming this track, but looks like Baskinger.
Oh, we're having some more contact on pit road. A lot of drivers getting cars going into their stall.
And a lot of people wonder why this is. I mean, these guys are rookies, but this track is pretty famous for having one of the harder pit stalls to get into, and it doesn't help when you've got a congestion. So, under our 3rd caution for 20 laps completed, will it improve? Will we get some better racing? Will we see some green flag racing? We'll have to wait and see. Pace car lights still remain on, so we're going to go to our first commercial break. You're watching the Netflix Rookie Cup Series here. Race number 3 on FMB TV3. We are back at the Netflix Rookie Cup Series, and 21 laps to be started, or 20 to be complete, 21st lap to be started here. As if you wonder what that car on the inside of Baskinger is, as he takes the green flag, it is a lapper. After last week's problem with the lappers, new rule change to the series, and look at that. The 22 is going to beat Baskinger to turn 1, and he's going to pull away for a little bit.
Oh, but he got a lot of damage. I don't think he's going to have any horsepower coming out of the corner, and then this could get hairy in a hurry.
This could get bad, and look at these guys checking up. The 19 of London having to check up for this. And a lot of cars getting next to each other in the back. Let's see what's going on. 3 wide. And this is what we were just talking about. These damaged cars holding up these guys. And as we're looking at the 5 up here, or back here, excuse me, 3 wide. Hosky's going to get around it, but this might be where the wreck is. As we got to go back up front, check what's going on there. Babel going to run him to the line as the 22.
This is not going to work at all. We're gonna have another Gordon McCaleb incident here in any time now.
And it's gonna not go well for the 4.
And that's it.
Oh, and he runs him to the line. That's not gonna help the 4 whatsoever. And here comes
the 78.
The 78, yeah, here he comes, and he's gonna be 3 wide. Now they're gonna sort it out. That is dirty, dirty, dirty on both sides of the you know, whatever you look at it. I mean, the 22 needs to give this position up, but the 4 needs to calm down, because if that was to occur right there in turn 4, we could have seen half the field involved.
Most definitely. You got to be thinking that one of those cars sitting mid-pack right now, just grinning and waiting for it.
A lot of guys trying to make something up. This is where it's going to get bad. Now the 78 is going to need to just dive low and make the pass on the straight, because it's not going to happen in the corners. And there it is, but the 22 so strong in the corners, but has no speed out or on the straights. I think the 4 is pretty furious, and he's going to push the 78 around the 22 and then work with him later. But oh, and look at this. I think Stafford's had enough of it. He's going to go below the 4. And the 78, if he's smart, he runs to the apron and makes this pass. But there he's going to try it.
He's looking for it.
Yeah.
You got to do it on the straightaway. He's got it. Now it's just going to be a matter of the rest of these guys trying to get around the 22. He's going to be right in the racing line for the straightaway.
Yeah, and as that new change in positions up there, and let's go back and take a look who's going to be affected by this, as we're looking at the 10 of Scott, and oh, the 57 of Jeremy Stanley. We know he's running hard, but man, he almost just lost it off turn number 4. And these guys are running 2 by 2, so if Babel has any chance at not causing any more problems, he's just going to need to hold where he's at, because he ain't going to have anywhere to go if he drops back any farther, because these guys are 2x2. New lead change may be in order, as the 4 who originally was leading before him and Babel got into it, looking to get around Stafford in the 17.
You would have thought that the early cautions might have spooked the drivers there mid-pack to not have racing like they are right now. There's cars hitting each other coming off the corner, and oh, the 99 almost gets turned by the 43 right there.
And yeah, like you said, you would think that some of these guys would slow down, calm down, take it. You know, we're still in a, you know, we're pretty far away from the finish, and you still got to take it slow at this point. I understand being back in this pack is got to be hell for some of these drivers. The rookies, they don't really understand what patience is, but you got to learn it somehow. And if you're gonna learn it quick, you don't want to learn it by getting in a wreck. You want to learn it the easy way, not the hard one. And I know this is more associated with super speedways, but we're seeing bump drafting, or you know, push drafting, as you might call it, here on the straightaways and even in the corners. What is all that about?
I wouldn't consider that the friendly push draft you're talking about. I consider that the get out of the way, I'm faster than you draft.
And we've seen it from a couple drivers, some of them taking it to an extreme level. We got to remember back there in the early laps, McCaleb and Gordon getting into it, and then Gordon returning the favor to McCaleb, who has since then retired his car. We'll have to catch up and see why that is. He did have a lot of damage, but not enough to really retire a car. Maybe he was just fed up. New lead change up front. And it looks like that high line is going to be just trash at this point, because you get under a car in turn 3 or turn 2, and it's signed, still delivered. You just basically got to get back into the throttle. So after a handful of cautions in the early laps, we have went green flag for quite a bit. But you got to remember, this track can grab a driver and throw him into the wall just as quick as someone can spin out. And speaking of being thrown into the wall, the car having some upgrades specifically to the tires before this race to try to change the racing due to the Richmond race not having any pit stops or tire wear. Can you give us some information on how the tires have changed to improve the racing experience for these drivers?
Well, after a 60, last week we had 60 lap run on the same set of tires. So this week they have brought a much harder tire that'll wear a lot faster. That's why you see guys pitting on every caution. They only get about 30 laps of fuel, and I'm sure the tires don't make it any further than that either.
Well, we should be seeing green flag pit stops if we don't see a caution sooner or later. And when that happens, it's really going to test these drivers, because we know these guys can get on pit road yellow flag, but they are having the toughest time getting out of pit road and just getting into their stalls. So we'll have to see how that plays into it.
Yeah, I believe this run started on lap 23. So you probably see drivers coming in around lap 50, and to be honest, I think that'll be our next caution.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting experience. But question is, will these guys catch lappers before they have to pit? Because the leader, the 4, running a 24.1 to the slowest 24.7, I think it's going to be a while before they catch the lappers. This week's lappers really holding up pretty well compared to last week's, who really had a tough time running consistent laps.
I don't know, but this run has shown the dominance of clean air, as you can see the 4 car going out to a half a second lead after being bottled up behind that lap car for so long.
Yeah, and let's go on board with the 4 car as he rides around Rockingham. He's driving into turn 1, out of the throttle, barely into it, and then right at the exit, just getting into the throttle there, and then they'll drive it in again. They drive it in very deep in turn 3. You can really get the car to stick. That wall can come up and bite you coming off turn 4. And that's a lap, and that's only a 24-second lap, so a very quick one.
If you look at the line the leaders are running compared to the cars at the back, they're definitely saving a lot on the exit of the corners with that clean air. They're taking advantage as much as they can.
Looks like it's getting excited here in the back as they are 3 wide and a couple cars jump onto the apron. Looks like the 21 was part of that. Gilson as well. Yada Brown. And Reeds, who is your pole sitter right now, I think may have gotten the bad end of maybe some engine problems or tire related problems, because he is 29th, starting first, and he is not being able to get around these guys. Something definitely missed on that car. Alex Gordon been in the headlines today. Whether good or not, we've got some pit stops underway now.
Yeah, we got some early takers.
Oh, we got a car into the. Oh my goodness, that is, and this is going to be interesting because that's going to. Is that going to bring out a caution?
I don't know if he gets it up above minimum speed before he gets back onto the track. I think we might keep this one green.
That's going to remain green, and that's crazy that, you know, you said that that's when we might see our next caution, and as soon as they jumped on pit road, someone around is more cars getting onto pit road now.
Oddly enough, I don't think that was even related to the green flag stops. I think that was just what we were talking about earlier with the what we're going to call get out of the way draft for today.
It may have been. These guys have been pretty aggressive. As these guys finishing their pit stops, the leader right now is still the 14. He's yet to make a pit stop. Or wait, no, he wasn't the original leader, was he? Oh, and him and the 77 of Gardner not too happy as he almost spins out getting onto pit road. So the 14 now on pit road. And that's going to be your second round of leaders, and we'll have to wait to timing and scoring to really sort this all out. As you look at these guys get onto pit road, it's a really narrow entry. You have to really be careful about who's behind you.
Yeah, we got a lot of cars coming in now. I think this might be one of the last sets of cars to come in.
Oh, and the 9 of Eddie Roberts trying to get into his pit, making some contact with the 30. No harm, no foul, though. And it's a really narrow pit entry and exit, and it's definitely a real narrow lane itself. As you're seeing the 78 of Games and the 29 of Pandisco, them running too wide down pit road, and you have to factor in the people that are in their pits at that moment. It is really, really hard to not make some contact. So as we wait for the official timing and scoring to cycle through, as of right now, it looks like the 10 is going to be your leader.
I think the 4 has maintained the lead and actually gained time on the 14 through pit stops.
Right, that's what I was trying to find. The 4, who was the original leader, and as you've said, a pretty big gain on the 10, and now who's going to be the 14 is going to be your second place driver. And it's a 1 second gain for our first green flag pit stops. Goss, who had just been around on the front stretch, which was a pretty scary incident. Just to think, if we didn't have a pit road wall, I mean, that would have been in the pits and where they were being serviced, these cars. Let's about take a look at how this all occurred a couple laps ago. And I think you're going to be right about how this occurred. It's just as we see him going into turn 3 right now. He's got the 82 of McGee behind him and a new driver to the series.
Oh yeah, looks like a new driver got another one.
Yeah, and Goss, and that's a pretty soft hit, but believe it or not, or a pretty slow hit, but that probably hurt since it's no safer barrier down there, and that was a driver's side hit. So Goss, not enough to put him out of the race, and definitely enough to keep him slowed down though, as he is running in the back already. Going to be a couple laps down.
He was about 4 feet away from him bringing out the caution. That would have really thrown off some pit strategy for the guys that had just got in there.
Yeah, it could have really changed this race, but we still have a lot to go, as in a couple laps we'll be 40 away. as the 4 still leads. And McGee, who turned Goss right now in the way of the 14, and he's going to try to dive low, and he's going to do it. And that's the way to do it. I think McGee actually, believe it or not, I think the rookie gave him a lane, but McGee with the run off, I think he's going to get around him. And look at the 4. I don't know if something's wrong with the 4, but he lost a lot of time in the last couple laps.
Back to what I said earlier, he's keeping it up off that wall, unlike the cars racing hard. He's probably trying to save, wants to make that last pit stop his last pit stop.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that's what he's doing, and yeah, he's definitely keeping it running a different line. Let's see if the 14 is going to turn the 82. He's not. He's going to give a little contact to him. And the 14 is catching. Even with battling the 82, he's still catching the 4.
He has caught about a second since pit stops.
Running faster even that time. We've got Gilson and McClintock. Both have seen their share of ups and downs today. Going to be in the way of the 4 if he can catch him.
Even if the 14 does catch the 4, what do you think he can have to do to pass him?
I mean, we've seen a lot of... I mean, that's a good question, because with the 4, he's running a pretty solid line, different from the 06. I think if the 4 can just run his line and get, under the 06 and just, one after another. But as you were saying, the 14 is catching the 4.
Yeah, he's been catching a 10th a lap, and that time a 10th, a little bit more. I think 2 more laps and have a race for the lead here with traffic.
Yeah, I think right now, I think we've come to the conclusion that the 14 has the better car on new tires. But you could have said it. The 4 may be saving something, to have something to show in the last couple laps, and even make it to the end of the race. We know this fuel strategy might have an effect on this race.
I think the guys pit latest will be about 2 laps short on fuel, so I don't think anybody's safe by any means. Looks like the 4 is just gonna get hung up behind the 06, and
yeah, and that's...
he's still... Oh, there goes the 14. We're gonna have a new leader here next time by.
But look at that. The 06 drops right onto the 14's front end, but that's gonna be terrible for the 4.
Yeah, the 14 definitely more aggressive. He wouldn't have hung there too long.
Yeah, the 4 was going to get past. That was understood quite well, but now he's not even going to have a chance to stay with the 14 because he is stuck, and he might get... Yeah, he's going to get by him there in turn number 2, but now it appears Stafford has already gotten around him. But look at that. As soon as the 14 takes the lead, the 14 now running a different line.
Yeah, it's just back to the clean air. Whenever you have it, it's an advantage, and you just pretty much use that advantage to lessen the difference.
What I'm surprised to see here, look at the 4. I mean, yeah, he got held up for quite a long time, but he didn't really lose that much time. He didn't lose as much as he was the 14 was gaining on him. I mean, he was 0.39 last time. This time by, let's see what he is. Gains 0.33. So is it the draft? Does the draft doesn't have that much of an effect?
I don't know if it's as much the draft or as the leaders are really conservative with their line.
And we may see the 4 come back and take this away from the 14. I mean, it could have been the 4 was saving and got stuck behind the 06 and thought, I didn't want to save that much. And now he may be trying to make it up and then save again. But look at this, the 14...
Okay, the 14 is really backing down. Maybe heated up them tires trying to chase down that 4.
Yeah, that's got to be the case, because look at the 4. He is all over the back bumper of the 14. And that took no time.
I can tell he's a lot less aggressive than the 14. He won't move him out of the way. He'll just get to him and sit there.
Yeah, I think it actually may have spooked the 4. He's did what he wanted to do and just catch the 14, because now he's backed off. And look at the 14, driving a different line now. He's seen the 4 coming. Maybe he's going to pick the pace back up. So Acosta now in the 14. Drifting along here as he's got the 4 at bay pretty good now. I think he's picked the speed back up.
Even this long green flag run won't end the side-by-side racing for mid-pack.
As we are going to go back. Looks like Scott and Baskinger and Pandiscio. Teammate cars right there with the 22 of Babel and the 23 of Pandiscio. And some more side-by-side racing, even stacked racing back here with Mudd in the back of this pack, and Martinez up high, and Williams low, and Reed's your pole sitter at the beginning of the race, looking to make it 3 wide in turn 3, and he's gonna get by the 91.
That 8 card got a lot of damage from a wreck earlier. Surprised to see him hanging on as well as he is.
Yeah, you would think this track would demand some of the downforce that that back end really promotes, and he's gotten on that high side, so don't let that fool you. He's only slow, it seems, if he's on the wrong line, because he was holding his own there for a little bit. Now he's, oh,
ooh,
91 puts
what's
it on
going
the
on
apron.
with the 91 here? He's just slipped up right there. Looks like it might have stepped down on him.
Yeah, and that's really going to check up a lot of these guys, and we're going to have a pretty big pack on our hands now. And I think he just couldn't really see where the apron was there for a second, and it caught him off guard. And
Wait, Tyler Wesley's going to come up into this pack after that. He was actually leading this event earlier today. Wonder what happened to him.
Yeah, it's definitely been an up and down kind of day. We've had Reeds who sat on the pole, wasted no time getting that lead, and then out of nowhere, I think pit stops or just, you know, maybe he knows something we don't. But Wesley probably definitely doesn't want to be 24th right now.
There was almost contact there entering 3 between the 2 and the 18. That would have been a crash.
I hear a car on pit road, and it is the 22 of Babel. Remember, he is he's several laps down right now with damage, so no problem there. The 14 still leads over the 4. Like I said, they are running basically now a conservative race.
I was about to get to it. I was going to say any time now we'll see car coming down pit road, and we have our first group going down.
And we're looking for the 14 and the 4. We're going to focus on these guys and not lose them under the pit stop. So the 14 elects to stay out, and the 4 is going to follow suit. Top 3 guys stay in the same. Now, if you're the 14, this is very, very important. It's going to be inch perfect for this pit stop. And he continues.
Yeah, you don't want to lose all the time you lost last time. You don't want to rely on that run you used last time. You want to get in there and get out.
And that's going to be the key. I mean, right now, 14 is running the same as the 4 right now. It's basically identical times. And that's not what the 14 wants to hear. He wants to know that he can pull away from him, because it's nice to have something to fall back on if you make a mistake on pit road. And we're about to find out.
Pulling in.
And the 4 is going to follow, and the 14, Stafford stays out. He's going to run an extra lap. We'll have to see if that makes a difference. Now, we've seen Reeds have a lot of problem on pit road. 14 in his pit stall. Let's see if he gets out of it fine.
Get a large group of cars coming in right behind these leaders. You can only imagine how nervous it's going to be for these leaders trying to get out of their stall.
Looking at the 4 now, as he has to go really far down pit lane, and he's got a pretty good spot, and he's got no one in front of him when he's going to pull out, because the 5 is not going to be there unless he takes 2 tires, and he's not. He's going to take 4. Looking for the 14. Here comes the 14. Does the 4 get out in front of him? He does not. And I think he did that perfect. I think he may have lost some time, but the 14 right now, that is a pretty good pit stop. And I think he may have gained on him. Now here comes Stafford, who was 3rd to these guys. And I'm not sure if he's made a pit stop yet or not. But if that's the case, if he has made a pit stop, he
has made a pit stop.
So he does.
He is 2nd place. He shut the gap. He snuck in between the 4 and the 14.
So Stafford with the muscle there at the end.
Definitely a bit of strategy and driving on that on part of 17.
Oh, and look at Gilson. He's going to pull right up in front of Stafford, who was going to... And that's going to... It's either going to hold up the 4 or the 17. Let's see who it hurts the most.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to... I don't know. This 34 isn't really a slow car. He's just a car that's gotten back there.
And as we talk about this, the 14 is absolutely pulling away. Pit stops, cycling through. You're watching the Netflix Rookie Cup Series. We'll come back with the conclusion of the Rockingham event, race number 3. Don't leave us. Welcome back as we're closing in on 10 laps to go here. Your leader, the 14, who has done just that for a good portion of the race. Right now, he's going to be coming up on some lap traffic, but not slow enough to really make that much of a difference as he's just got around the 67 of Walton. You're looking for your second place runner.
While we were under break, that 26 had a hard charge from about a second behind the 4 and 17. He's now moved himself up to second.
So Baskinger now. And I think really that comes to play with his strategy. I mean, he pitted late, I think, or I mean early, excuse me. And I think it's a combination of not being stuck behind lap traffic and really just getting the best of these guys that were. And now he's moving up to the podium spot.
Gaining a lot of time for sure, but I don't think he's going to catch the leader here unless we have caution, which
getting close.
We got a
to
car
that.
stopping on the backstretch. The 38.
It's Ogle, and I think we've seen this, and that's a caution. That's
a caution. Wow.
And it's going to be close to the red flag lap. And I believe we will go back green.
That's really weird. Maybe he stretched it too far and ran out of fuel.
We'll have to wait and see. And that is strange. You know who's loving this though? Baskinger.
Baskinger is he's gonna tighten the belts up one more time. He's gripping that wheel. He's ready for it now. Yeah, I wonder how many of them will go in for tires on this.
That's the problem I see here. And if I'm the 14, I don't go in for tires. But you almost have to. Because we've seen these guys pit after 3 laps, and these guys have been under green for 15, 10 laps now. And if they're going to pit after 5, they're definitely going to pit after 10 or 15. But it's the end of the race. You know, it's going through some of these drivers, but you don't want to be the 14 and don't pit, and everybody else behind you does.
If you look back to last week, I think it was Baskinger that was in the top 3 at the end, but he had a large gap between him and the front 2 cars because of the lap traffic. It definitely won't be a problem for him this week with the double file restarts.
Right. Here's the problem I see. With these double file restarts, it does give an advantage. It helps these guys. And as we're going to watch these guys, see if they make a pit stop. And no one pits now. And I think pit road, it is open. So
pit road is open.
So, and that is rare. What we're seeing is quite undoubtedly rare. Remember, these guys have ran a handful of laps, more than what they usually do, and I think we're going to get almost a green-white checkered here.
Yeah.
As Ogle gets his car fired back up, and we'll have to...
Looks like, it must have just been fuel. I think he just either didn't get enough in the tank or stretched it too far. Definitely not what the 14 was looking for, that's for sure. I'm sure his spotter's been warning him about that 26 back there on the charge.
As the 38 goes by our cameras in turn number 3, and he sounds up to par with the cylinders, the engines, all the above. So I think what you said, maybe not getting enough fuel in the tank. So when we come by, we expect to see either the 2 to go or the 1 to go. It may be a quickie caution. We'll have to wait and see. If this is the case, the more laps is what Baskinger wants to see.
The unfortunate truth about this, though, is that if we get back going here with more than 3 laps, I can almost guarantee that we're not ending the green.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. If you think these guys got aggressive, pace car lights are out, so that is the best case scenario for Baskinger, as he's going to get 3 laps roughly. 2 laps, excuse me, I think here.
You've really got to bank on 1 lap, though, with the chance of caution. He's got to get going and pass the 14 because this race can end in any second.
So with the rule books the way they are, since the lappers were not in the back, or on the telling the lead lapper, or no, not in the back, so with the double file restarts, I don't think these are going to go into effect. So there is going to be a 4-car or a 3-car buffer, and Baskinger, I think, is going to be in the same position as last week, because these guys are not going to be double file start here. So I'm curious to why that is. But
maybe
after
last 10 laps.
Yep. Trying to find the rule book here, but green flag is out, and here is the end of the race as the 14 takes the green flag. 2 laps to go, and look at this, they are 3 wide as Games did not get going.
Is not wasting any time.
The 26.
Oh, he made contact with that 67. He's gonna get blocked by him. That is gonna end badly.
That is going to. If I'm the 67, I get out of the way because I don't want to be in the fence. And speaking of being in the fence, 3 wide as Games may be out of fuel or down a cylinder as he has fallen back already 10 positions.
Get the 4-car on the bumper to 26. Now 26 now under the 67. He's looking for that alley. Going. He's gonna have to drive the wheels off this thing to get up to the leader.
A miracle is about to be wished upon for the 26 of Baskinger as the white flag for the 14 is out. The 26 is going to have to do everything he can do to get to the 14. And it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. It's not. So again, Baskinger comes up short. The 14 of Acosta, though, not going to come up short. In fact, it's going to be perfect. Race number 3 goes to the 14. Oh, man.
26 for finishes 3rd.
And just like that, I mean, we didn't crash. These guys cleaned it up.
Yeah, 26 almost still the state real early there.
Oh, and they're crashing hard on the backstretch now. And I think we've got some discrepancies for some of these drivers. Sorry to interrupt you there, but Reeds has just destroyed his car. And no more than the 41 who he has ran in the back of, and that was a terrible hit.
Just another incident like we saw earlier under caution, just the rookie mistake and not slowing down here at the end.
Oh. But that's it for this race. Your winner is going to be the 14. In a good race overall. Started dirty there in the end and really cleaned up there at the end and really got it down into the fundamentals of racing. Let's go over your top 5 real quick. The 14 going to take the top spot. The 26, the 4 who was there, who we thought was going to be the runner-up spot for a long time, ended up being the guy that's going to get 3rd. 4th, 23 Appendischio, he had a quality race, a very consistent one. In the 43, Zach Austin, going to round out your top 5. So we've seen a lot today. We've seen Alex Gordon and a handful of other drivers being in some peril, and Brent McCaleb getting the worst end of it there. As far as the new rookies go, I think they're a good mixture to the racing, but they need to clean it up. So race number 4, going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Join us next week for the 4th race in the Netflix Rookie Cup Series. For Alex Bates, Bobby Campbell, and FMB TV3, until we meet again.